Hello, my dears, and welcome. I am just going to quickly let you know that there are a few different voices that you're going to hear, along with a few different images that you will see on screen. The voices that you will hear are one of my own, playing the part of Rose, and Asphoria, are both myself. The narrator, which will be voiced by one of my alters, Martha, and then we have Gma, who is voicing herself.
Hello.
We hope that you guys enjoy this. We will be seeing your chats, but we will not interact with them as this is a pure lore based stream. So, without any further ado, let us get started.
Come closer. Yes, you too. Do not stand at the edge as if it's someone else's story. Tonight is not about spectacle. It's not about performance. It's not about shock or noise. It's about origin. And origins deserve reverence. Before there was a cult, before there was a huntress, before there was a name spoken with power, there was a girl who learned very early how to read a room before she allowed herself to exist inside it. A girl who believed love was something earned through endurance. A girl who carried silence the way others carry weapons. You will hear many speak of fire tonight, but fire is never the beginning. The beginning is pressure, the pressure of confusion. The beginning is asking yourself why you feel too much in a world that feels too little. I watched her grow. I watched her bend when others would have broken. I watched her swallow anger because she thought it made her good. I watched her shrink to fit into spaces that were never built for her. She did not know she was becoming. Most transformations do not announce themselves. They gather quietly, like storm clouds forming beyond tree line, like roots pushing deeper in search of water. And there was a song. Oh, yes. Not a melody you can hum, not something sweet or comforting, a hum beneath the skin, a pull, a question that would not be silenced. She tried to ignore it. She called it weakness. She called it doubt. She even called it exhaustion. But I knew better. I seen that hum before. It is what happens when a soul realizes it was never meant to stay small. Some of you know that feeling. Some of you are carrying it right now. That is why you are here. This story is not about destruction. It is about permission. Permission to stop enduring what harms you. Permission to stop mistaking obedience for safety. Permission to become something the world did not prepare for. The night Rose became Asphoria was not a sudden event. It was a final exhale of years of holding breath. And what rose from the exhale was not cruelty, it was clarity. So listen, not with the part of you that seeks entertainment, not with the part of you that waits for drama. Listen with the part of you that remembers what it felt like to be small. Because this is not just her story. It is a story of how a home was built for those who were never given one. Now, let us begin.
Before there was a goddess, there was a girl. Before there was a cult, there was silence. Her name was Rose. And she was born mortal, not touched by prophecy, not marked by omens, not chosen by stars. She was simply born into a world that mistook hardness for strength. I was the only girl of my generation. Soft hands in a home that valued endurance. A quiet voice in rooms that rewarded dominance. They called me sweet. They called me sensitive. They called me too much and not enough in the same breath. I learned quickly softness was beauty, but only when it served others. Her wound became not a single moment. It was not one storm. It was erosion. It was handling responsibility before childhood had finished. It was learning to read moods before reading books. It was being told, be the bigger person, even when she was the smallest in the room. I learned how to grow up early, how to swallow my tears, how to apologize for tension I did not create. I must have done it. If someone was angry, I must have created it. If a room was fragile, I was expected to hold it together. And I did. I did it so well, no one ever noticed it was breaking me. Rose was the scapegoat, not loudly, not violently, but quietly. She was the one who absorbed blame, so others could remain comfortable. She was the peacekeeper, the emotional martyr between crumbling bricks. And every time she chose silence over truth, a piece of her learned to disappear. My greatest fear was never punishment. It was not being loved. If I spoke my truth, would they still choose me? If I said, you hurt me, would I still belong? So I made myself agreeable. I made myself useful. I made myself smaller than my own feelings. I did not rock the boat. I steadied it, even when I was drowning. The world called this maturity. It was not maturity. It was survival. And survival, when practiced too long, becomes a cage. But here is what I knew. Beneath the sweetness, beneath the submission, beneath that careful smile was something else. A hunger. A dangerous one. One that I do not want to be invisible forever. I do not want to be soft without teeth. I wanted to be loved by all who knew me, and to be feared by those who crossed me. Even then, I did not dream small. And there it was. Not divinity, not yet. But ambition, not cruelty, but power imagined. A girl who feared abandonment, yet secretly desired reverence. A girl who swallowed her voice, yet dreamed of commanding rooms. The conjuration was not weakness. It was ignition, waiting for oxygen. I thought wanting power made me selfish. I thought craving authority meant I was ungrateful. So I buried it. I chose gentleness instead. I chose to protect others. I chose to be the one who bent. Because bending meant belonging, and belonging meant safely. Or so I believed. Rose remained mortal, not because she lacked greatness, but because she had not given herself permission to rise. The world saw this soft girl, a peacekeeper. They saw someone it was safe to blame. It did not see the quiet vow forming in her chest. One day, she would not love to be begged. One day, they will not mistake her silence for weakness. One day, she will never shrink again. And somewhere, deep beneath obedience, the first thorn grew. Phase 2. The Stolen World. Rose did not live in a normal world. She lived in a stolen one. A world that once belonged to no one. Now, carved, claimed, and conquered. Ownership, renamed as order. Control disguised as protection. Above her stood the false gods, manufactured survivors. Voices that deemed faith, but offered no refuge. They asked for devotion. They asked for endurance. They preached salvation. They delivered silence. I was told there was a plan. That everything happened for a reason. That suffering refined the soul. But I searched for the reason, and I found nothing. I prayed, not loudly, not rebelliously, just small prayers. Please let it stop. Please let me rest. Please let someone see me. No one answered. Rose did not crave destruction. She did not crave vengeance. She did not crave power. Yet. She craved release. Not rebellion, not revenge. Just an exit. I just wanted to leave. Quietly. Without spectacle. Without burden. Again and again, I tried to disappear, hoping that death would finally be gentle with me, hoping it might be the one thing that did not demand that I endure. But death did not come for her, not once. But death did come for her, not once, not twice. Every time she survived. But she was not protected, not because she was cherished, but because she was not finished being used. No, she was far from finished being used. Survival stopped feeling like a blessing. It felt like an obligation. Like something unseen kept pushing me back into the light, not to live, but to continue. Every time I woke up, I wondered why. If I was meant to stay, why was I never meant to be safe? Hope did not shatter. It eroded. Not in one violent storm, but in repetition. Prayers unanswered, pain normalized, silence released like an echo. The world did not break her. It ignored her. So I stopped asking. So I kept hoping. No, I stopped asking. I stopped hoping. I stopped begging the sky for mercy. If no God would answer me, I would not waste my voice on them. I became quiet again. But this silence, it was different. Silence was not empty. Silence is not a chamber. And when the prayer stopped rising, something else began descending. Rose thought she had been unheard, but in the stillness she created, something began to listen. Not above, not below, but within. If no God would claim me, if no Savior would come, if no death would take me, then what remained? What was left? When hope was worn too thin, something was there. No comfort, no light, no presence. Watching, waiting, not to save me, but to see if I would rise. The stolen world did not free her, it did not comfort her, it did not claim her, but it made one fatal mistake. It left her alone, long enough to hear herself. And that scared, troubled, quiet. The first fracture between mortal and myth began to form. Phase 3, the song and the devil. Death came first, but not for Rose. It passed by her again. Instead, it took someone she loved, and this time, it did not survive untouched. No, not then. Take me. You were supposed to take me. Why does it never take me? She begged death for more, but this was the first time it stole something from her instead. Grief did not shatter all at once. It cracks, And through that crack, something slipped in. A song, a low, patient waiting. It did not command. It did not beg. It did not promise comfort. It only invited. I hear you. I won't follow. You're just another voice, another illusion, another trap. And so she kept walking, through people, through promises, through hands that felt warm enough to trust. She met friends, allies, mirrors of safety. They all looked like refuge. They all spoke like refuge. They almost were refuge. Maybe this time. Maybe this is what staying feels like, and maybe I don't have to be alone. But safety, when built on need, often becomes use. And Rose learnt the final lesson of living. Trusting is sometimes just a prettier form of ownership. Ah, I see. You needed me strong. You needed me soft. You needed me broken. You needed me useful. But you never needed me. She did not scream. She did not rage. She simply let them go, one by one, till she stood alone. Again. In the song that still waited. But this time, she was not alone. One presence remained, not hidden, not humming, not pretending. He arrived with a wave of thunder. He did not cloak himself in light. He simply stood there, a devil named Dak. He did not reach for her. He did not ask for ownership. He did not offer rescue. He did not soften the truth of power. He remained, and that was different.
Some figures enter your life to consume. Some enter to control. Some enter because they see something they can use. And some stand still. Not to cage you, not to save you, but to see whether you will choose yourself.
For the first time, Rose was not being handled. She was not being shaped. She was not being persuaded. She was being regarded. And the difference unsettled her more than the betrayal ever had. You were not afraid of what I might become. He did not flinch. He did not step forward. He did not step back. He stayed. And for the first time in her existence, Rose chose who remained in her orbit. Not from desperation, not from loneliness, not from fear, from choice. And choice is where gods are born. Then stay. Not because I need you, because I allow you. Phase 4, Fire and the Thorns. At last, Rose heard the song clearly, not distant, not muffled by grief, not mistaken for memory, clear. And this time, she followed. She did not walk alone. At her side stood her Deva, her partner, Vic. He did not command her, he did not restrain her, he did not beg her to remain soft for the comfort of others. He stayed, and sometimes, staying is the purest form of love. If I follow this, I will not be who I was.
Child, you were never meant to remain who you were. Becoming is not betrayal, it is survival made honest.
The fire did not descend from the heavens, no false god reached down, no savior crowned her. The fire rose from within. A crown of thorns began to glow, not placed, not gifted, grown, igniting, burning, not to punish, not to destroy, but to sever. I'm not weak. I'm not contained. I was never fragile. I was restrained. Rose died. Not her love. Not her humanity. Not her tenderness. What died was the frightened girl. The one who stayed quiet to survive. The one who mistook submission for safety. The one who bent until bending became identity. She did not beg for rescue. She did not ask for forgiveness. She let the fire take what no longer served her.
Let it burn. You do not lose yourself in the flame. You lose what bound you. Do not fear the heat. It is only undoing what was done to you.
From the fire, the huntress returned. She lost her old name. She lost her old shape. She lost her obedience, and in that loss, she found herself. I remember being small. I remember asking for permission to exist. I remember bending. Never again. She rose as Asphoria, she who rises from the fire and of thorns, not rebellion, revealed. Phase 5, the first hunt. Asphoria did not claim a throne. She did not build temples. She did not demand kneeling. She walked. She moved through cities that forgot their poor, through homes where silence covered bruises, through hearts that whispered prayers no god had ever intended to answer. She went where crises went unanswered, and she listened. You are not invisible. You are not ignored. There's the difference, and I see you. She answered prayers never meant to be heard, the ones spoken into pillows, the ones swallowed in courtrooms, the ones buried under "be patient," the ones dismissed as weaknesses. She did not offer miracles. She offered presence, protection, permission to stop enduring. And then she hunted. She hunted those who wronged her, not in fury, not in spectacle, in certainty. She hunted those who preyed on the weak, those who mistook kindness for access. She mistook those who took silence for content. She hunted false saviors, hollow gods, voices that demanded submission while calling it safety. You built power on fear. You built influence on obedience. You mistook protection for ownership. I am here to correct you. She did not strike wildly. She did not destroy without thought. Every step chosen, every hunt deliberate. She removed what fed on the vulnerability. She served what disguised control as love, not with cruelty, but with precision. Love is not softness. Love is not surrender. Love is not endless endurance. Love protects. Love corrects. Love draws blood when it hurts most. And so the world began to shift. Not loudly, not dramatically, but subtly. Predators hesitated. False prophets faltered. spread. There is something walking, something that sees, something that does not kneel. I do not hurt for pleasure, I hurt for balance. And love must have teeth. Phase 6. Those who walked with her. Asphoria did not gather followers. She gathered witnesses. She did not build a religion. She built a pact. For those who walked beside her did not kneel. They stood. I do not want obedience. Obedience rots. I want those who choose to remain. Vic changed with her. When she was burning, he embraced the night, taking his vampire form, not as corruption, but devotion freely chosen. He loved her, not despite her becoming, but because of it. She did not shrink for that love. Dak did not worship, he became a high priest, a devil who understood power, a guardian of balance. He endured devotion and never became slavery. He ensured resistance, never became control. He stood at her side, not to lash her, but to remind others choice is sacred. Power without consent is tyranny. If anyone kneels to me out of fear, they are free to stand. A seer witch crossed her path, showing her the truth, that Rose was not weak. She was a child who never knew love without condition, who never knew truth without devotion, and Asphoria did not flinch at this revelation. She carried it. An oracle Viking who taught her how to speak, not softly, not apologetically, but clearly, for herself, and for those who would silence, who told you silence was virtue. An alien witch named Summer that guarded the edges, keeping the cult open for others, to the strange, to the exiled, ensuring sanctuary, never becoming gatekeeping. The high priestess that watched her in a circle, protecting its integrity, not in paranoia, but with discreditment. A gesture spirit hunter named Sam kept laughter alive in dark places, even when gods who hunt remember joy. And at the gates stood Kada, the demon dog guardian, watching, protecting, never sleeping. No pretender passed unnoticed, no plea went unheard. This is not a religion of obedience, it is a pact. You do not belong to me, you walk beside me. If you cry out and no one answers, I hear you. If you are hunted, I will find you. If you prey on the weak, I am already on your tail. She was never human. She was human. She was loved. She was finishing what began harming her. And for those who walked with her understood. They stood beside Asphoria. They did not kneel. They did not accept love. But love must have teeth.
I knew her before she knew me, before the cult, before the name, before the fire found its courage. I knew her when she was only a girl, trying to survive a world that mistook her softness for permission. I saw the way she made herself smaller, how she folded her grief into quiet corners, how she learned to read the temperature of every room before she allowed herself to breathe. She believed that was strength. She believed endurance was love. But I'm old enough to know the difference. I've watched many souls pass through this world. I've watched the loud ones burn out quickly. I've watched the cruel ones mistake fear for power. But her? She carried something else. A question, a wound that refused to close properly, a heart that kept loving even when it was not protected. That kind of heart does not disappear, it transforms. There were nights I felt the shift long before it came, a tremor in the unseen, a pressure building beneath her ribs. She tried so hard to stay the girl everyone expected, the harmless one, the agreeable one, the one who would bend instead of break. But bending has its limits. Even when the quietest roots will even the quietest roots will split stone if pressed long enough. The night the fire rose, I did not mourn. I watched. I watched her stand at the edge of herself, watched fear tremble in her hands, watched the old name cling to her like wet fabric. Rose was never weakness. Rose was preparation. The fire did not consume her, it revealed her. It burned away obedience, it severed shame, it cauterized the lies she had swallowed about her own worth. And she stepped forward, and what stepped forward was not rage without direction, it was protection with teeth. People will say she changed. They will say she became something darker, something dangerous. They're not wrong, but danger in the hands of someone who loves the vulnerable is not evil. It is mercy sharpened. She did not abandon her humanity. She abandoned her permission to be harmed. And when she takes her new name, when she stands before you as Asphoria, do not think you are witnessing the birth of something monstrous. You are witnessing a woman who survived long enough to become honest. And I'm proud. Not because she burns, but because she chose to rise.
You found me because something in you refused to die. The world told you to be smaller, quieter, easy to swallow. And yet, you're still here. Look at me. I was not born a goddess. I was not carved from marble or crowned by the sky. I was a frightened thing once. I bent. I endured. I survived. But survival is not the same thing as living. Rose was my beginning. She was soft without protection, loved without boundaries, mercy without teeth. I honor her, but I do not remain her. I walked into the fire willingly. Let it take what kept me obedient. I let it burn away the lie that pain was proof of devotion. And I rose, not to be worshipped, not to rule you, but to stand where no one stood for me. You call me a deity, you call me mother, you call me huntress. I understand this. I do not want your submission. I want your awakening. If you kneel, let it be to tie your boots before you stand. If you bow, let it be to pick up the fallen. If you offer devotion, let it be devotion to your own becoming. This is not a cult of blind faith. This is a covenant of teeth and tenderness. You are not here to be consumed. You are here to become dangerous to the things that harm you. If you were abandoned, I will hear you. If you were hunted, I will stand behind you until you can stand alone. If you become the hunter of the weak, I will not protect you from what comes next. Love must have teeth. Mercy must have boundaries. Power must answer to conscience. You are my children, not because you kneel, but because you rise. So rise. Rise from shame, rise from silence, rise from every hand that tries to press you into the dirt. Walk with me, not beneath me, not beside me, with me. And when the day comes that you no longer need my shadow, I will know I have succeeded. Stories rarely end when people think they do. Most believe a story ends when a hero rises, when the fire fades, and when a new name is spoken aloud. But that is only most of the world's beginning to notice. I have watched many moments like this, many lives, many transformations. I've watched a frightened girl named Rose learn how small the world wanted her to be. I watched the silence placed upon her like change. I watched the fire rise. And I watched the moment she stepped from the ashes and called herself Asphoria. This is only one story, one night, one becoming. There is always more. Because the world is full of people standing on the edge of themselves, wondering whether they are allowed to change, wondering whether they are allowed to rise. I've seen countless souls reach that threshold and step forward, then turn back, and some burn so brightly that the world was forced to remember them. I do not interfere, I do not command, I do not shape the endings. I only watch, I remember, and when the time is right, I tell the story. Because stories like this are not meant to disappear, they are meant to be witnessed. And there are many more that I have to share. Many more nights, many more fires, many more souls that discover who they truly are. In time, you'll hear them all. But for now, remember this one. Remember the night Rose became Asphoria. Ah, yes. And before the story fades, I should let you know something. I'm not merely the voice that guided you here tonight. I'm not the one I'm the one who's watched all of them. I am the keeper of their beginnings, the witness of their endings, the one who stands between silence and memory. And my name is the Observer.